Hello everyone and welcome. This is Dawn Pauley and today I'm sharing a cute Easter card that I made using several products from Whimsy Stamps. First up is the Easter Bunny stamp set. I absolutely love this set. It includes 5 adorable images and several great sentiments. You can also purchase the coordinating no fuss masks for this stamp set or the coordinating dies, which is really nice to have. Next, I'm using the inverted scallop die, which I really love. I'm also using the Field of Butterflies die set. This set is great because it includes a grass border, clouds, and it cuts out lots of tiny butterflies that can be used to accent almost any card. And finally, I'm using the grass and cloud border die. I already have a stencil that I cut from this die, and I keep reusing it until it gets worn out. Then I just make a new one. So I'm going to start with that stencil to create my cloud background. So let's get started. The first thing I did was die cut 3 of the largest inverted scallop dies. I'll be using the middle die cut piece to create my ink blended cloud background. And for the clouds, I'm using some Distress Oxide ink in tumbled glass. This is my favorite ink and color for creating skies and clouds. I have a lot of inks, but I always seem to come back to this one because it just blends so really nice and even. All I'm doing is placing my stencil down and using my Whimsy Stamps ink blending brush to very lightly blend ink along the edge of the stencil. I do go a little darker closer to the stencil's edge, and I leave the space between the stencil rows lighter. That's what helps the clouds start to form. You'll also want to keep moving your stencil around. This helps make sure your clouds don't all look the same. And then I move down to the next row and continue working my way down the paper. You don't have to blend all the way down to the bottom if you don't want to, because we'll be covering the lower portion with the grass border. Next, I die cut the grass border from some green cardstock. You can definitely add some ink blending here for the extra dimension. I didn't do that this time, but if I make the card again, I probably would. I'm just trimming the grass border so that it's the same width as my cloud panel. I went ahead and stamped the bunny image onto some white cardstock using a Copic friendly ink. Now I'm going to do some quick Copic coloring. I'm not doing a lot of shading since this image is pretty simple, but I'll quickly walk through the colors that I used. For the bunny, I used Copic marker C5 Cool Gray along the edges, and then I blended it out with the C3 Cool Gray for the rest of the body. You could absolutely color the bunny all one color and it would still look great. Next, I used R11 Pale Cherry for the inside of the bunny's ears and the nose. And for the Easter eggs, I actually used my Ohuhu markers. I colored one of the eggs coral. I did a pale green. I did one in pale yellow, one in light blue, one light purple, and then the last one I did with light pink. I also colored all of the butterflies using the same light pink that I used for the egg, but you can color them any color that you'd like. Then I used the coordinating die to cut the bunny image out. To assemble the card, I adhered one of the scallop frames to an A2 sized white card base, and then I placed the cloud background panel into the center of that frame. When I adhered the grass border over the clouds, I didn't add glue all the way to the top of the grass. I left a little space without adhesive so that I could tuck my tree trunk behind it later. The grass border overlaps the scallop frame slightly, but that's okay because we're going to cover that up. I adhered the remaining 2 scallop frames together to add some dimension, and then I adhered that on top of the first frame. This nicely covers the edge of the grass border. At this point, I decided the card needed something more than just the bunny, so I pulled out the Slimline Meadow die set This set is great for building scenery, but the only piece that I'm using today is the tree. I die cut the tree trunk from some brown cardstock and the tree foliage from green cardstock. I'm quickly adding a little shading to the tree trunk using Distress Oxide ink in walnut. And for the leaves, I used a darker green ink just around the edges to add some contrast. I'm spending a little bit of time on this. I'm not spending a lot of time at all, just slightly blending around the edges. I trimmed the tree trunk down so it wasn't quite so tall, and then I used my pick tool to gently lift the grass border so that I could tuck the tree trunk behind it. Next, I adhered the tree foliage pieces onto the tree. There's no specific placement for these. You can arrange them however you like. I'm just placing them where I think that they would look nice. Then I stamped the sentiment Happy Easter directly onto the card front using black ink. You could absolutely stamp this onto a sentiment strip, but I like the look of having it appear in the sky. And finally, I adhered the bunny onto the grass. And to finish off the card, I added 3 pink butterflies so that it looks like they're flying through the sky. And that's it. I just love how the sky turned out. It really makes the whole card pop. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let me know what you think of the card. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when new content drops. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day.